Hello folks, it's Stagecoach again. Welcome to a mini model review video. I've got Northcord Enviro 400. I've already done a full review of this quite recently as I'm doing this video. I'll put a link in the description to this one, to that if you want to watch the full review. The one that I did the full review on was catalogue number N6207A in the livery of Greater Manchester PTE. It was a Stagecoach Manchester bus painted in a heritage livery of Greater Manchester PTE. And the one I'm doing this mini review of is catalogue number 6207B, another Stagecoach Manchester bus, but this time in the heritage livery of GMS Buses. So I'll take it out of the box and we'll have a look. I have to say before I start that I'm very disappointed with this model, but I'll come to that in a minute. So there it is. I'll run through the history of the rail vehicle and of GMS buses in a moment. But when I do these reviews, I tend to be quite forgiving. It's not usually possible to do a model that's actually 100% accurate within the confines of doing a commercial diecast. And there are often issues that people get hung up on but don't really matter. I always say in these reviews that I do it a disservice by holding them close to the camera, because obviously normally we see them from quite a distance away, whether they're on a shelf, in a display case, in a diorama. And so a lot of the little faults and things that show up on them when I'm reviewing them are not actually that obvious. And I do try and say that, you know, they don't matter. I try and be pragmatic about it. So there's a minor fault on this one which it shares with the other one I reviewed, and there is a major fault. The minor fault is quite simply that it's the wrong height. The Northcord model is a full height Enviro 400, whereas most of the ones Stagecoach bought were low heights. And I covered this in the full review as well. It's not a major thing because, as far as I'm aware, nobody has ever produced a model of a low height Enviro 400. So all the ones you can get are full height, so it doesn't matter. You've got nothing to stand it next to that will make it look the wrong height. The only reason I actually bother to mention it is that if I don't, somebody will put it in the comments that it's the wrong height. But you can't tell just by looking at it. It's painted in such a way that it doesn't show up the proportions of paint look correct. It doesn't make it look like a wrong height bus. So that, as I say, doesn't matter, and that hopefully proves that I am, as I say, quite pragmatic, quite forgiving with these reviews. Having said that, there is a much bigger problem with this particular model, and we're going to cover that next. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Sorry, just a moment. What's this? What's still? Right, apparently we still don't have an elephant, so let's talk about the stuffed pig in the room. Quite simply, the skirt is the wrong colour. It's brown, and it shouldn't be. GMS buses used... It's a moot point whether they were black or grey. I think that the actual truth from seeing the buses in real life at the time GMS were around is they used both. The older vehicles that were in the fleet when they were formed, again I'll go into the history briefly in a moment, but the older vehicles tended to have a black skirt because they just carried it over from the previous GM buses livery that had a black skirt. The livery of GMS was designed just to be able to be modified from the existing GM buses livery. So older vehicles like Atlanteans had a black skirt, as I'll show you on this model that I did, a repaint of an EFE Atlantean. This one has got a black skirt. The ones that they acquired that didn't have when they were set up, such as the refurbished Leyland Nationals and the Volvo B6s, they tended to have a dark grey skirt because they were full repaints. However, in most lighting conditions it actually looked black. It was such a dark grey that if you caught it on a dull day, which, you know, Manchester's famous for having wet weather basically, and, you know, it being dull, so they looked black in those kind of lighting conditions. And if you saw it in full sun, that you could tell it was a dark grey colour. The rail bus in its heritage livery has got a very dark grey. I've seen it a few times in real life, and the skirt is a dark grey colour. So dark grey or black would have been acceptable. However, this one, as I say, is quite clearly brown, and it ruins the appearance of the whole model. I thought initially what they'd done is just painted a load in the same livery. The one I reviewed, 6207A, was in the Greater Manchester PTE brown, orange and white livery that was introduced in 1981 with a brown skirt, and I thought they'd just done that and put the different transfers on it. But they haven't. Looking at it, the skirt is correctly narrower on this one than it is on that one. It's got the other one's got a slightly deeper skirt, as it should have. So this isn't the same depth of skirt, but they've painted it brown anyway. We'll come back to that one. I'll have a look round the bus and we'll have a look at the other things on it, which are pretty good, to be honest. And then I will return to the thing of the skirt, because I'm going to have a bit of a rant, unfortunately. So, what's it a model of? Well, it's Stagecoach Manchester 19532, registered MX09KTT, a bus with an extremely simple history. It was new to Stagecoach Manchester in May of 2009. It carried the beach ball livery. At some point it did have some route branding in orange put onto the beach ball livery, but otherwise than that, it was in beach ball livery all the way through to 2024, when it was one of the vehicles selected to receive a heritage livery, in this case GMS Buses as modelled here. They were done for various reasons. It was 200 years since the first bus service in Manchester. It was 50 years since Greater Manchester PTE had been formed from Selneck PTE. And it was also a bit of a farewell, because Stagecoach were losing a lot of their traditional operating area in Manchester from January 2025 as part of the B network tendering. So it was kind of a farewell to those areas. The bus is still with Stagecoach Manchester. Although they lost a lot of their traditional area, they did gain other bits, and this one is currently based at Little Hulton Depot, the school bus depot in sort of the Little Hulton area of Salford, where it's used as a driver trainer and staff shuttle. Because by using it as that, they don't have to paint it in the B network yellow livery, whereas it can just, you know, as a trainer, it can retain this livery. So it retains this livery based at Little Hulton at the time I'm doing this, in November 2025. So GMS Buses, deregulation 1986, Greater Manchester Passenger Transport Executives bus operation had to be set up as an arm's length company, as did all the other PTE and municipal ones. Arm's length company, it was run like a normal commercial company, but the PTE had all of the shares. The arm's length company was known as GM Buses. Unfortunately, the leader of Greater Manchester PTE didn't get on with the government of the day, and the government decided they were going to split up GM Buses into two and force it to be privatised. So they split it up in 1993, December 1993. It was split into GM Buses North and GM Buses South. In April 1994, GM Buses South was sold to its management, as indeed GM Buses North was to its management. They went to the separate management teams. But yeah, April 94, GM Buses South sold to its management team, and they relaunched it as GMS Buses, as seen here, with a very simple adaptation of the original GM Buses livery. Again, I'll just demonstrate it on the Atlantean. So basically, the late GM Buses livery was black skirt, black window surrounds, which finished about there. And what they did was they extended the black around the front. They put some big bold fleet numbers on the dome, and they put a new logo on and did the wheels in a light grey colour. And there you go, that was the livery. And it was designed, as I say, that it could be patch painted onto the existing buses, rather than the time and expense of repainting hundreds and hundreds of buses from scratch. As it was, they never actually did apply the full livery to that many buses. They never got around to doing that many, but there you go. In February of 1996, 25th of February 1996, GMS Buses was sold to Stagecoach. It had a bit of a rough ride. They had a lot of competition. There wasn't a lot of money about, and they couldn't afford to replace the fleet. Basically, the fleet was ageing. They couldn't afford new buses. They went into an agreement with Stagecoach to lease some Volvo B6s that I've already mentioned, and that was the first sign that there were some, friendly ties with Stagecoach. And as I say, February 96, Stagecoach bought it, and it became Stagecoach Manchester. So let's have a look around this model. We'll start with the front. I'm not going to mention the skirt in this quick look around. I'm not going to review the actual casting, because as I say, I've done a full video of that, and again I'll put a link in the description to that one. Suffice to say, it does capture the look of an Enviro 400 really, really well. Decoration on the front's nice. The black goes around to the edge of the windows, it should do. Obviously this one didn't carry any big fleet numbers on the front dome, because being an Enviro 400, there isn't a front dome to put them on. It did have a GMS sticker in the window, which is nicely modelled there. Destination blind's a little bit hard to read, but it is there, 256 to Flixton, one of the many routes that this bus would have worked on, and it's got the repeater fleet number underneath, as it would have had. It's 19532, it's got a Stagecoach number on there, and it's got a HE Hyde Road garage code next to it as well, again as the real bus did have. Yeah, nice decoration. Obviously mirrors and wipers and things are there. Again, I'm not really reviewing the casting. GMS name on the front and the registration plate there. Looking pretty decent. Go around to the near side. Again, it looks good. The general painting is good. The edges are nice. There's no rough edges. The black extended across the front there as it should be. The door is black, again as it should be. You've got the little City Central logo there. In GM Buses days, they started doing these. City Central was Hyde Road Garage, City North was Queen's Road Garage, and City South was Princess Road Garage. So this has got the correct City Central logo there with Hyde Road Garage. Again, it all looks pretty decent. The legal lettering is orange on this one, which it was on the actual bus. In GM Buses days, it was either done on a kind of black line with white lettering, or just in black lettering onto the orange. But this heritage repaint in real life did have orange lettering. I'll try that again with my voice actually working. It did have orange lettering in real life, and it still has. It still has, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, generally speaking, it all looks pretty reasonable. Go around to the back, and you've got a GMS logo in the window, which is very nice. White back dome, as it would have been. The black didn't extend around the back on the livery. And again, the finish is pretty good. 256 there in the blind. The blind and registration plate behind the glass, as they should be. Fleet number there. Thing about cyclists not undertaking it. Again, I'm not really doing the casting, but I'll just show you the engine while I'm around there. The engine cover opens, and it is the correct latest style of engine cover with these two little ventilation grills, rather than the embossed Enviro 400 in it. Round to the offside, the emergency doors printed on as it is on these. It doesn't look too bad actually, it looks pretty good there. And again, the general decoration and things is really, really good. You've got a filler cap printed on there, and then one as part of the casting there. Again, you've got the City Central Hyde Road Garage circle there. And it all looks pretty decent. GMS Buses didn't have the separate Hyde Road Depot lettering underneath. In GM Buses days, they did. They had a strapline under there, like Hyde Road Garage or Hyde Road Depot. But GMS didn't. They just had the circle there as modelled. The roof in Stagecoach Beach Ball livery, as it is on the rail one. They didn't bother to paint the roof when they did the heritage repaint, as they often don't paint roofs nowadays. Not just Stagecoach, most operators don't bother to paint the roof of the double-decker. And the underside nicely modelled in black there. Interior pretty good as you'd expect on a Northcord. Blue seats as they are, the beach ball era seats. Orange handrails, the sort of light blue sidewalls and things, and it all looks pretty good. Except, of course, for that brown skirt. Yeah, there's not really an excuse for it. I mean, if this was a model of a bus that was in service in 1920 and there's only like a black and white grainy photo of it, and you know, a sketch drawing that somebody did for a newspaper, you could forgive them for doing it in the wrong colour. But this bus was painted a year ago as I'm doing this review in late 2024. There are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of photographs of it on the internet, on Flickr. There's videos of it on YouTube. Manchester was awash with enthusiasts towards the end of 2024, recording the final days of this kind of operation before it all went to the B network. And yeah, there's loads and loads of videos and photos of it, and the rail bus is still in this livery. You know, I'm sure as a manufacturer, if you asked Stagecoach, they'd let you go and have a look at the rail one. And if they don't, as I said, there are loads of photographs, so there's not really an excuse for doing the skirt in completely the wrong colour. And it is noticeable even from normal viewing distances. This arrived with me yesterday. I'm doing this review in November of 2025, 14th of November I'm recording it. It arrived with me yesterday, the 13th, in its box, still wrapped in tissue paper. The dealer I bought it from had just made a small rip in the tissue paper to have a look through and make sure it was the right model before they posted it. And I looked through that little gap, and the first thing that I saw was the skirt's the wrong colour. And I'm pretty gutted. I mean, I pre-ordered this when it was first announced, because I'd seen the rail bus both in photos and in real life, and I really liked it. I've always liked the GMS livery, hence why I've painted that Atlantean, which keeps making an appearance. There you go. But that's why I painted that one, because I like the livery. And I thought, yeah, I'm definitely having one of those. So I pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered another couple as well. The dealer I ordered them from, TTC Diecast, you don't pay up front, you just pay when it comes into stock. But I pre-ordered them, and then I went and put in for some overtime at work and worked overtime to earn the money to pay for them when they came out. So I put all that effort in because I thought, yeah, it's going to be a cracking model. And then, as I say, when it's turned up, it's got the wrong colour skirt and it looks a bit ridiculous, to be fair. Can you do anything about it? Well, of course you can. It's not a hard one. Just mask it off. It'd be easy to mask. There's a little bit of a ridge line there that you can't really see on the video, as there is on the real thing. A panel line between the skirt and the rest. Mask along there. A bit of paint, whatever you want, dark grey or black. If you use a really fine brush, you can just paint round a legal letter in and you won't be able to see. The eye will con you into thinking it's all the correct colour background, and you won't be able to see the brown bit behind it. But yeah, so it's easily rectifiable. The thing is, why should you? You know, these models, as we'll see in a moment when I do the price, are fairly expensive, and you know, they have to be. I mean, obviously, the detailed models, there's not that many of them. There's 1,200 of these and 1,200 of the other one that I reviewed, the 6207A in the GMPT livery. So it's a limited production run. They're quite expensive to produce. It's a detailed model, and they're imported from China. So yeah, I get why they're expensive, and actually the price of them is pretty much the going rate, but they still are quite expensive to buy to most people. You know, cost of living crisis, etc. People are not getting any richer, and it is a chunk of money. And why should you pay that? I don't have to start painting it to make it correct. It's annoying, and as I say, I can't really forgive it. But anyway, I'll take a deep breath, have a bit of a lie down, and then I'll come back and do the price. And here we are. So this one, because I pre-ordered it, was slightly cheaper. It cost me £53.50 plus postage and packing, which was just under a fiver, so about 59 quid all in. Had a look on the internet for the purposes of this video last night, so 13th of November 2025. TTC Diecast, who I ordered this one from, are now selling them at £56.99 plus postage, so that will be about £61–62 with postage on top. Eliz Keith, the model shop in Eastbourne that I look on the website of, they were selling them for £60, again plus postage. I think postage is about 4 quid there, so 64. Had a look at eBay. The cheapest one I could find was £62.50 plus £4.25 postage and packing, so £66.75 all in. And the most expensive was £95.49 including postage. Do not buy that one. We've had this before with Northcord models. What happens is they come out in Hong Kong about 4 weeks before they come out in the UK, because there's the time delay. They're made in China. They are exported to the UK via Hong Kong, and some of them are kept in Hong Kong and sold through the model dealers there. There is quite a big scene in Hong Kong for British bus models, so some of them stay in Hong Kong and are sold there. And what people tend to do, if they happen to be in Hong Kong, is they pick a couple up, bring them back, you know, when they fly back, and then sell them on eBay for stupid prices. People look at it and go, oh, I want one of them, and then obviously there's no others available because the UK ones haven't arrived yet. They're still on the ship, making their way around from Hong Kong to the UK. So they have a look, there's no other alternatives about, and they pay 95 quid for them. Don't pay 95 quid for it. Even between last night and this morning, the number of ones of these on eBay available for sale has doubled. There were 3 offers last night when I looked quite late on. There are now 6 this morning. So because they've come into stock literally right now in the UK, more and more people are adding them. And yeah, so they start, as I say, £62.50 in postage, £66.75 all in. There's quite a few offers in the sort of 67 quid area, 72, and then there's this one £95.49, which again is one somebody's brought from Hong Kong, bunged on, hoping to sell it before the UK ones arrive, and not quite made it. Don't pay 95 quid for it. It's not worth it. Is it worth having? Well, I mean, yeah, the skirt is a real problem. If you're prepared to paint it, then by all means get one, but I wouldn't be paying stupid money for it because it is incorrect. Yeah, I mean, there are remarkably still some of the other ones, the 6207A, available for sale. The dealers seem to have quite a few of them, and it came out in October 2025. I thought it would sell out instantly, but it hasn't done. So I don't know whether this one will or not, to be fair. It might sell quite quickly. Manchester ones tend to be quite popular, but when people realise, as I say, the skirt's the wrong colour, it might put them off. So I don't know, but my advice is, if you do want one of them, I'd buy one sort of now while they're available new, before people start bumping the price up, because people do tend to buy them and then you know, wait a little bit and then put them on eBay for like £100 and stuff. So no, if you want one, it's probably best to buy one now when they're just new out and you can still get them for the as new price. But I'm really disappointed. Like I say, I will defend manufacturers to the hilt for making small errors and things. A lot of them you can't see from normal viewing distance and it doesn't matter. But this one is a humdinger. It's just blatantly obvious. Even looking at it at the kind of weird angle that you're looking at it now, you can see that the skirt is quite clearly brown and it just looks completely wrong. And it really is a shame. It really is a shame. It just, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. But yeah, if you want one, get one. I'll put this review on straight away. I normally queue them and put them on in order, but because it's quite a topical one, it's a bus that might sell out, I will put it on as soon as I record it. So you'll be watching this, if you're watching when it first goes on, just literally as soon as the bus has been released in the UK. So anyway, for now, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.